Welcome, 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 and welcome to the space. We are having our breastfeeding question and answer session today with myself. I am Tiffani Dickerson. You get kind of a 2-for-1 in this space, y'all. Don't use and abuse me too much, but you're gonna get a 2-for-1. I am a registered nurse and a board certified lactation consultant. My background is in NICU. I got into this work through lived experience. I have an almost 5-year-old and an 8-year-old. And I humbly entered motherhood 8 years ago and found myself navigating some challenges with breastfeeding, especially whenever we left the hospital setting. And I thought, you know what? Why don't I be a solution to this problem? And so I launched my private practice, which is called the Breast Choice Lactation Services, that's located right here in Dallas, Texas. You'll hear my little Southern accent come in there a little bit here and there. But I'm really excited to be in this space with you guys. I love doing these question and answer sessions because it really opens up the floor for you guys to actually ask me anything that you may be thinking of, may have questions, concerns, want to confirm, any of those things. So there are no, all questions are welcome. Again, this is a judgment-free zone. This is a welcoming and this is an extremely safe space. If you guys kind of don't have a lot of questions, I have some little things that we can kind of talk through because I get asked a lot of things a lot. And so I wanted to include some of my most commonly asked questions. Just if we don't get to those or no one asks those, I'll just kind of open up and share those with you guys because I want y'all to get equipped. So we love engaging in interactive crowds. We've been known to drop little giveaways. So I'm just gonna go ahead and to give you guys a little insight there. So the more interactive you are with us, you might be one of those recipients of a gift today. So really excited to be in this space with you guys. Again, we understand that sometimes we are navigating in these evenings, childcare, we are navigating bath time, dinner time, all the things. So we still count participation in the chat. So if you want to drop any of your questions, Rita will be helping me moderate the chat and she'll be helping ask some of those, make sure I answer those questions for you guys. And then you also can come off mute and ask any of your questions. So without further ado, y'all, we will get started. I'm excited to hop into this. So I have supported over 1,300 families, you guys, my business will be 5 years old actually next month. And so I've supported over 1,300 families, anywhere from early on prenatal support, which is so fundamental, all the way until weaning. I have families that are breastfeeding beyond 2 years, and I'm supporting them with navigating weaning. So always your choice. I will always support you guys from that lens of it never has to be all or anything. So all of your questions are welcome to this space. So without further ado, you guys, let's hop into it. You can come off mute or you can chime in the chat with some of your questions.
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy, y'all. You
That
literally
is a
have,
question.
yes.
Hi, I'm Abigail. I
Hi,
am
Abigail.
11 months postpartum.
Okay.
He's coming up to a year and he is still
Congratulations.
breastfeeding.
Okay.
So my goal was to finish after a year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm concerned about that weaning off portion because he still
Mm-hmm.
needs, he still uses it for comfort, to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
He just likes the boob over the pacifier, you could say.
Yes.
So just that, the whole weaning process that I'm looking into right now for
Mm-hmm.
probably within the next month or two.
Yeah, absolutely. I love your question, and I'm really glad to actually receive a weaning question because I don't feel like there's a lot of support around that. And so there's really three big components to the weaning. There's the emotional component of it, and there's the physical component of it, and then there is the mental wellness component of it. And so a lot of times those can oversee each other. So when you're navigating weaning, it can go a couple different ways. It can be more parent led where you're kind of navigating it, or it can be more baby led where you're saying, hey, I'm not going to offer, but I'm not going to refuse. And I'm really going to let this go a little bit more slow, a little bit more gradual, and truly put things into my baby or my toddler's hands. And there are benefits to breastfeeding outside of just 1 year. And so actually the WHO recommends, as well as the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends, actually breastfeeding for a minimum of 2 years now. Like we used to just hear this 1 year tossed around all the time. So It's actually recommended for 2 years. And for a lot of families with that, it looks very different from those first year of nursing. It looks more so of, hey, after 1 year old, there's going to be this natural transition where primary solids and foods are the main source of nutrients, and then breastfeeding, nursing is secondary. So breast milk and nursing are secondary. And so what that could look like is you'll see this gradual transition of, in the morning, I'd rather have food over boob, but at nighttime, I'm going to want that, or at for lunchtime or nap time, I'm going to want a nurse. And so there's just this very natural transition. Some families decide, hey, after a year hits, I will continue to nurse my baby, but I'm not going to pump anymore. So if I've been pumping at work or doing any of those things, I'm going to stop those. What I always love to share with families, and it's been feedback that I've received, is to really talk about the emotional component of it, because a lot of times families aren't prepared for what happens to your body emotionally. So you've had a lot of hormones circulating that kind of go back and forth between you and your baby or almost toddler whenever you're nursing. And so serotonin is released. When you take weaning away, your serotonin surge that you get from nursing, it drops. And that's a very like comforting kind of a relaxation hormone. So when that drops, there is like a big, just sometimes families experience a depressive mood or a decreased mood, and they're wondering why these things are happening. And then there's also this grief of this baby that you've nourished and you've watched be nourished for 11 or 12 months no longer needs you in that capacity. So I just always tell my families to, really, really, really think about what your goals are. There's nothing that says you have to stop at a year unless that's your desire or your baby has already decided that. And then if you do continue nursing and you get a little bit more into toddlerhood, that using books can be really helpful to support your weaning journey. And on my Amazon storefront, which we can share with you guys, I have some of my favorite weaning books on there. So slow and steady is key.
Oh my God. Thank you so much,
You're welcome.
Tiffani.
And I hope that also helps another family that may be on here listening and have questions about weaning.
That's a good question. Good question. Thank you, Abigail.
Yes.
Appreciate you. I don't know what's going on with your screen, Tiffany. It's like is
Can
it
you
on?
not see me?
Yeah, I can see it, but it has like maybe it just have like the PDF at the top of there. I don't know. I thought it would be like it's in presentation mode though, right?
Yeah, it's in presentation mode.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and proceed on with the next question.
Okay, I was just gonna see if I could fix it.
Okay.
Is that better for you?
It's about the same, but that's fine. We'll get
Okay.
through it.
Okay. Um, all right. So do we have any questions in the chat?
Yeah, so Beth Battles, she said, I am having my first baby in August and I want to breastfeed, but I'll be starting a new job in October that requires me to go in 2 days a week.
Okay.
She's currently right now fully remote. How does
Okay.
breastfeeding work when I have to pump the bottles for those 2 days? When I'm away from him, but breastfeeding when I'm at home. She said, I don't know how much about breastfeeding yet regarding pumps, times, milk amounts, stores, and etc.
Oh, this is a really, really good question. Okay. And it's also perfect for you, Beth, to come to our second series that we're going to have, which is called Thrive and Flow, that talks all things back to work. But I'll just give you kind of a quick response to that. And so, Beth, breastfeeding does not have to stop because you're going back to work. It sounds like you're going to be hybrid. So you're going to be a mix of in office and also working remotely at home. So if you're away from your baby, the best way to protect your milk supply is to pump around where you're going to be in postpartum is going to be about 2 months. So I would probably pump around every 3 to 4 hours while you're away from your baby. And that's going to allow you to sustain that milk supply. And then depending on how long your shifts are, if they're, 8 or 12 hours, again, every 3 to 4 hours on average. Once you get back reunited with your baby, nurse them at the daycare if you're picking them up from the child care facility. Find out, does that child care facility have a nursing room where I'm able to comfortably nurse my baby either on departure and arrival, so that you can continue to protect that. And then while you're away, you want to start to find out, or if you're going to be in the office, do they have a lactation area and a space for you? If you're mostly going to be on Zoom calls, can you align your schedule that's going to be conducive for you being able to step away for 20 minutes or so to pump? And then when you get reunited in the evenings, it's just kind of back to it. You may find that sometimes these babies are really smart. They miss you from being away all day, and they will do reverse cycle nursing where they want to nurse mostly in the evening times and overnight in order to help you sustain your milk supply. So for you, Beth, getting off to a really good start is key. Around I would just nurse completely for the first 2 weeks. And then around 3 to 5 weeks, I would introduce pumping, and I would add pumping in 1 to 2 times a day just to kind of start to build a small reserves. Notice I didn't say this big freezer stash, just a little reserve so that you can slowly build up enough for the first day of work. That's really all you need. 1 to 2 days worth of milk. So if you're going to be gone for 8 hours, most babies by that age will be taking 3 to 4 ounces. So I usually overestimate for my families just to give them a little bit of wiggle room. That's going to be about 32 ounces. So if you just do 1 or 2 pumps a day while you're on leave, it's going to be very easy to achieve that 32 ounces by the time you return to work. Great questions. We're kind of getting a mix. I love it.
Right. Okay. It makes sense. Thank you. No, thank you for asking the question. All right. So who else? I mean, we're here Q&A with the IBCLC. Now's the time if you have questions about breastfeeding, anything, just ask those questions.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
You
Yes, we
can.
can.
Hi, my name is Tanika. This would be
Hi.
baby number 5 for me. And
Congratulations.
I'm already producing milk. I've been producing milk for a minute now. Unfortunately for me, my babies are back to back. So my last baby was due in June,
Okay.
and baby will be here June 30th is my due date. So my thing is my milk comes in lumpy. So I know it's there. I can already feel it. My question is, my lactation here is telling me that it's always too early to start trying to pump and express milk. So it's like for me, I'm listening because it's hot, and I'm not trying to have a baby while I'm still out. I'll be 38 weeks tomorrow. And basically, my question is because I haven't been able to successfully just fully breastfeed, I've been having to supplement with my other children.
Okay.
Um, but I really feel like this one will be more of a good and a little bit more successful. But my thing is, I don't have that much space in order to store milk right now with my living situation. So,
Okay.
how would you recommend building a supply without overdoing?
Absolutely. That's a great, great, great question. And again, congratulations. And like you said, each pregnancy, each breastfeeding journey is different. I always see it as an opportunity. If you have different goals this time that you want to meet, let's work on those goals. So, to start off, if you can minimalize right when you have the baby, having unnecessary non-medical needed supplementation. So by that I mean not giving other things that are not from your body. So if it's not medically indicated, you're not giving formula or any of those other things in those first couple of days. And to help expedite your milk supply and to help you have a more successful journey this time, because that sounds like that's what your goal is, I would really incorporate in hand expression. And so hand expression just simply means using your own hands, doing little gentle massages with your breast to manually extract that milk out. I would do that after every nursing session for those first couple days to help your milk transition a little bit smoother and quicker. With each pregnancy, you have more milk ducts typically. You have more breast tissue, which may be why you're feeling like more full this time. And so it's an opportunity for your body to make more milk. Usually with each pregnancy, you tend to make a little bit more milk. And so I would really try to allow the baby to just primarily nurse if that's your goal. Those
Mhm.
first 2 weeks, you can add in some extra hand expression. You can use tools like the milk catcher or the milk collector, and I'm going to reach for it. So if you see me move for a second, that's what's happening. So little tools like this, I wouldn't use them every feeding. They're like a milk collector or catcher. I would nurse the baby on this side, nurse the baby on this side, and then put this on the first side that you start on. Just think about this as the leftover catcher. So we're not trying to steal all the groceries and just nurse the baby here and automatically put this on, because nobody want their groceries stolen. But we will just catch whatever those little leftover changes or whatever leftover groceries are. Um, I don't know what that sound is. Okay, so that's kind of a way that you can kind of build a really slow and passive reserve with, you have four other children. So we want to do things that are realistic, that are going to be sustainable so that you can stay on this journey and be successful. That's kind of some things that I would do. And then around 3 to 5 weeks, I would go ahead and start pumping. And just kind of how I mentioned about Beth, I would just do 1 or 2 pumps a day. So those nighttime feedings, anywhere from 12 a.m. to 7 a.m., are when your prolactin levels, which is the hormone that tells your body to make milk, they through the roof, they sky high. So you want to ensure that you're having enough milk removals during that time so that your body gets the orders that, hey, I need to make this milk. So just think about your nighttime feedings are what set the tone for the entire next day. So if you have a lot of missed feedings overnight, it's going to automatically think you don't need, the body doesn't need to make that milk, and it will down regulate your milk supply, especially before 6 weeks. So for those first 6 weeks, those first 40 days, if you were to add up all your nursing sessions or your pump and or pumps, you want to be at a minimum of 8 to 12. A minimum of 8 to 12. If you fall below that, for most of us, that's not going to allow for a full milk supply.
Okay.
Okay. So those are some tips that I think will help you be a lot more successful. We also have a really amazing product line, which you'll get information on at the end, where we use holistic lactation products that can also support amplifying the flow and the supply. And then just making sure that you're supported. That's a big component of it as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Good question.
Great question.
We've got Jennifer. Jennifer is asking, as someone without a partner at home, what nighttime feeding strategies reduce burnout?
That's a great question. Okay, let me tell you the beauty first about breast milk. So the beautiful thing about breast milk, especially in the evenings, there is an extra hormone, melatonin, that's in there that can actually help support and encourage your baby to go back to sleep, as well as serotonin gets released every single time you nurse. So while it may sound like getting up to make a bottle, maybe, and having a partner feed for you would be easier, oftentimes I help my families to realize that that's not the easier task. You can do what we sometimes call a dream feed, where you just grab the baby, you let them nurse or attach to the breast, and then oftentimes that serotonin that gets released to them that helps them go back to sleep will put you guys both back to sleep. You get more rest when your baby is close to you. Doesn't necessarily mean they have to be in the bed, but when they're close to you, whether it's in a bassinet, they can smell you and sense you, and that often keeps them much more safe and more feeling attached and bonded. And so they'll regulate their sleep a little bit differently. And so if you're not going to have a partner, oftentimes nursing through the night allows you to get more sleep and rest than it would to have to get up and make a bottle or get up and pump. A lot of times families experience that. And then you also could use this milk catcher in the middle of the night when the milk volume is really high and take advantage of that, collecting extra milk. And so if you really need that extra sleep, I would say letting yourself have maybe 1 or 2 hours of little extra sleep after that first 2 weeks. Once your milk supply is well established, the baby can start sleeping up to 4 hours if they decide to, if they're back to their birth weight.
Good question. Good question.
Yeah.
Any
And
other
then looking into things like doulas and postpartum support, sometimes they have programs that offer low to no cost doula support in postpartum. And so you can have them come over and support you during some of those night shifts. And sometimes it's really getting creative with your village. We think sometimes that it has to always default to a partner or to family, but it could be a church member. It could be a neighbor. You'd be really surprised. It could be someone that you connect with in a Facebook group who understands and wants to support you. So you just really be surprised how the community can sometimes show up for us.
Good. Any other questions? Feel free to unmute your mic or drop it in the chat. And congratulations to all the mommies on the call. We thank you for taking the time out to join us. We have any other questions or anything?
I see a How Painful Is It by Annabelle.
Annabelle?
Mm-hmm.
Is she referring to, let's see here. You want to elaborate a little bit, Annabelle? Are you talking about the whole breastfeeding? You talking about birthing? Like what exactly?
Well, here's a good one about how not to get pain is latching and what a good latch should feel like. So a good latch doesn't have to ever look a certain way for me. It's really more so about how it feels for you. Yes, optimally, we want to see the lips phalange really wide where all this is filled with breast tissue and breast space. In that space, all that's filled with breast tissue. We also want to make sure that it feels comfortable. So what it should feel like is just a kind of pull tug sensation. Where we don't want to be is where it feels like a pinch. If it's feeling like someone is literally pinching on your nipple, you want to put a clean finger in, break that latch, take full possession back of your nipple, and then reattempt to latch. And one of the easiest ways to get a really good latch, and I show this a lot, so I know you've seen it, Rita, is
Oh,
going to
yeah.
be what we call flipping this nipple up in the air. So instead of the baby just attaching like a bullseye front and center, actually extending that and rotating that nipple to go up in the air. So when you go to latch, the place that it actually lands is the roof of the mouth instead of straight back. And when it lands here, it's a softer spot, and that's going to decrease your pain by 70 to 90%. 90% of the times when I'm supporting families that have nipple pain or trauma, it's due to an improper latch. That little elevation and tilt up can make your latch feel so much more comfortable. So if after about 10 to 15 seconds, the discomfort is not subsiding, then you want to break that latch and start all over. So you would just go into the baby's mouth, push down on their tongue, and take full possession back of your nipple.
Good question. Jennifer has another question. She's asking,
Sure.
are you a fan of supplements, cookies, etc., or foods that realistically support supply?
Yeah. Okay. I love that question. So it's loaded. I will say two parts to that. The first thing is nothing can trump frequency. So if you just think about yourself as the restaurant, okay, you're just came in service, you're having your grand opening, okay? When this baby is born, that's the grand opening. When you have your grand opening, you want a lot of customers coming in. And so your baby is essentially your VIP customer. They're the ones that's going to really amplify things for you. And so in order to make the most milk or make the most revenue at this restaurant, you want to have that customer ordering around the clock. So more customers come in, the more orders that are being placed, the more times you nurse or stimulate at the breast, the more your body's going to make. So while supplements can sometimes be supportive of that, nothing will trump the demand that you make each time it's suckling. The more times that the breasts are actually drained, meaning that they nurse, they kind of drain the breast, they're going to refill more. If they stay really full for a long time frame, the body starts to get this thing called feedback inhibition, and it's like, okay, hold on, wait a second. The breasts are full already. Oh, well, I can go have a lunch break. I don't need to make any milk. And so then your body will go into this point where it down regulates your milk supply. Now, I will say that there are some foods that are known to be lactogenic, which is just a fancy term meaning they support you making more milk. And those are things like oatmeal. We'll see it in the porridge family sometimes. Chia seeds, flax seeds, salmon. We'll see omega-3s be really helpful. Protein can really be helpful. And even if you're vegetarian or vegan, you can get that from broccoli. You can get that from hemp seeds. Hemp seeds, 2 tablespoons of those have about 15 grams of protein. Breast milk production loves protein. And if you're someone that has had a navigation of insulin resistance or any kind of glucose issues, really having the lower glycemic foods will optimize your milk production as well as having protein. So you'll see like, the body armors out there and people's like, oh, the body armors, get the blue one, get the blue one. So for some people, the body armors and drinks like those work because their bodies are deficient in those minerals and those nutrients. And when they consume those things, which mostly in the body armors, it's the coconut water. When they consume those things, they rehydrate and replenish your body. You can also make your own natural Gatorade, coconut water, a lime, a little bit of ginger is really lactogenic as well. And then a little bit of like pink Himalayan salt or Celtic salt. There's your little own electrolyte replenisher. So while hydration can be really helpful, it also is helpful to have electrolytes in there. So your sugar-free liquid IV or your elements, a good quality electrolyte, can also be very supportive of your breastfeeding journey. And I've seen it make a tremendous. I'm always asking in my consults, hey, when's the last time you ate? Or tell me what you ate today. So I love to hear your day by day kind of thought. And for breastfeeding, you do need about an extra 300 to 500 calories when you are breastfeeding for milk production. Great question there.
All right, we've got another one from Destiny. Destiny says, I'm on my second child. My due date is August 11th,
Okay.
2026. My child was on formula. I
Okay.
had her at 32 weeks, so she was in a NIC unit.
Mhm.
And it would have been challenging trying to drive back and forth every day without transportation, 3.5 hours away to try
Oh
to
my
bring
goodness.
pump milk to the hospital. Because of my hometown doesn't have a hospital with a NIC unit. So my question is, where do I start? What steps do I take? I'm not familiar at all with breastfeeding. I didn't pump milk with my first child at all. So
Okay.
you said I'm not even sure of how to use a breast pump.
Great, 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 great questions. First of all, I commend you, Destiny, for even being here in this space. Like showing up today already
Yeah.
shows your commitment to having a different experience. And like I always say, we get a clean slate with each pregnancy and with each breastfeeding experience. And it's really important that you acknowledge and own those either traumas, griefs from your first experience that may not have gone as you anticipated, so that you truly can go into this one with a clean slate. Y'all, there is so much that is connected to our emotional well-being and regulation when it comes to breastfeeding. We want our cortisol levels and our stress hormones to stay very low. And can you just imagine your baby's in the NICU and you're worried about your baby? You had a baby born prematurely, and then you're 3.5 hours away. That is a lot of extra things to weigh and carry. So I commend you for navigating that journey and for wanting to have something different. So for you, I would love to have you, if you are open to sharing with us, if things are moving along well this time, and you can maybe have had a baby at 32 weeks, but this time it could go full term. And so those journeys are going to look very differently. So as you continue to navigate this pregnancy, if it stays low risk, meaning you don't have any high blood pressure, no gestational diabetes, any of those things, we really just wait until the baby arrives. We want to get a prenatal class on board. So I do those virtually. I work with Mommy Care Kit. We're going to have this series going where we'll unpack
Yeah.
flowing from the start. That's definitely a class that you're going to want to chime a little bit more into, Destiny. But it really starts with understanding how breastfeeding is a lot different than formula feeding and what the normalcies and expectation are. It's either perspective of, I don't have enough, this baby's feeding so much, or oh my gosh, my body is so amazing, this baby is needing to feed often in order for my body to be able to produce this milk. So I got this VIP customer restaurant. I'm fully packed and loaded. My body is my business is generating a lot of revenue. My restaurant is flowing. It's overabundant. And you will see that milk transition, and you will see your body respond to that so much differently. So the steps that I would take for you, Destiny, is finding either a virtual or a prenatal breastfeeding class that can really get you equipped with a deeper dive, and really understanding that while pumping is part of a lot of people's breastfeeding journey, it does not have to be a part of everyone's journey. We have some families that I support that either work from home or they're stay-at-home families, and they don't ever need to pump, and that's okay. But for a lot of us, we're either returning back to work, we want to have a date night, or we want to have brunch, or we may be separated and away from our babies, and we want to ensure that we protect our milk supply and ensure that our babies stay nourished. So one step I would take as well, Destiny, is finding out every insurance, including Medicaid, Medi-Cal, all those cover a breast pump. So I would go ahead and start there, as well as amazing Mommy Care Kit has some great breast pumps available. So seeing if your insurance will qualify you for one of their packages to get a breast pump, I would start there if you know that's going to be a part of your journey. And then I would get very, very, very familiar with something called hand expression. And I can drop a link in the chat for you guys for one of my favorite hand expression videos. I would watch that. And I would watch a lot of breast crawl videos. Those are two things that can really help you see how babies are biologically innate to use their reflexes to nurse intuitively right from the start. So I would do that. But the prenatal class will make a big difference. 80% of our families that have taken our prenatal class, they go on to meet their long-term breastfeeding goals. So we know it makes a big difference, whether it's the first or the fifth baby. We've seen that.
Excellent. I did
Oh,
drop the link in the
good.
chat too.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes. Okay, I'm glad that you already have a kit. That's really, 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 really important. And
Good.
I will drop in the chat that hand expression video that I was telling you guys about. This is my favorite hand expression video ever. And it was really helpful because it shows you how to do that. And that's a great technique to use. So if latching doesn't go well that first day, I wouldn't feel like things are not going to stay on track. I would just know that it's grace, a lot of grace that first day. You're learning and the baby's learning. So if it's more than 24 hours of no latching, then I would start pumping so you can protect your milk supply and get it off to a great start.
Yes. Beth has a question. She said her insurance
Sure.
covers a breast pump of her choice, but there are
Mm-hmm.
so many options. How do I know which one is best if I have never used one before?
That's a great question, Beth. So, I love if you're looking for a wearable option, I love that the Mommy Care Kit has a motif available that if you
Yes.
need something, so you're going to be on the go. Maybe you have a like teachers or my prime example. My poor teachers are always, or I feel like they oftentimes there's challenges getting relief in order for them to be able to step away, but they can take a minute or two and go into their closet or they can go into the hallway or to the bathroom and at least put their wearable breast pumps on. And we
Mhm.
know now, especially if their milk supply is already well established, that's an opportunity for them to have a breast pump that actually fits into their bra where they can pump and have their milk supply protected. And so for my families, I think it's great, honestly, to have two. One that you plug in with a stronger power that if you have to
Mhm.
pump those first 2 weeks, it's going to really do what it needs to do. It's going to help get that thicker first milk, like colostrum, out of there. And then once your supply is well established, we can use a combination of that plump you plug in and the wearable pump to help you with convenience, to help you with navigating. If you got 4 kids and you're like, hey, I got to get the kids down for a bath, something like a wearable pump can make a big difference for you to be able to continue to nourish your baby from food from your body.
Great question. Great
Yeah,
question.
great questions. We're getting a lot of good ones. Okay,
Yeah.
I have the link for the hand expression I'm dropping in the chat for you guys as promised.
Awesome.
So you can grab that. It's actually I would get comfortable with that. I think it's a great tool. Just always talk with your provider and see if they are okay with that. You don't want to be doing that before 38 weeks. There's not a necessity to do it other than like curiosity. Sometimes it's a confidence boost. And then if you have risk factors such as I have diabetes, I'm going to be getting induced early, I have some hypertension issues, I know I'm scheduled for an induction or a C-section at 37 weeks, then I would talk with your provider and see if they are on board with you starting to do what we call antenatal hand expression, which just means hand expressing, not pumping, but hand expressing before you have the baby. And we usually do that about a week before you're going to be induced. But again, make sure you're speaking with your provider and that they're on board with that.
All right. Jennifer has another question. Jennifer said, at any point,
Mhm.
is breast milk out of your breast unsafe? Like, is there any time where it's not safe to breastfeed?
That's a really great question. So, there are very few medications that are not safe. So there's some great resources out there. One is called Infant Risk, and I'll drop it in the chat for you guys. And they actually have a free program where you can call them if you have any questions. It's like Monday through Friday, though, 8 to 5. They also have a Mommy Med app where you can go on there and you can check and see, is this medicine safe? They're going to rate it from a category of level 1 to level 5. Level 1 is extremely safe. There's no risk at all. Level 5 is absolutely contraindicated. We do not want you to breastfeed while taking this medication. Um, so that's something that you can use. L3, when we get to L3, we kind of have to weigh the benefits and the risk and see if that's going to be safe. And then oftentimes I get asked a lot about alcohol and drinking. And so or alcohol and breastfeeding. So the rule of thumb is ideally you would nurse first or pump first if you're going to have an alcoholic beverage of your choice. Have that alcoholic beverage before you go to nurse or pump again. Pause and see how you feel. Um,
Mhm.
And if you feel like, feeling a little relaxed, a little tipsy, then it may not be safe for you to handle your baby. So then it's probably not safe for you to give that milk, but you could definitely save it for a bath. I'm never going to be one of those, I'm not one of those lactation consultants that ever recommends like pumping and dumping. I always say there's another use that we can utilize it for: diaper rash, cut and scrapes, in a
Mm.
bath. There's so many great benefits and immunity for it.
We do have a question from Stephanie.
Sure.
Stephanie said, I've seen other mothers who have pumped and their breast milk is bloody. Is that
Mm.
safe to give an infant?
Oftentimes, if it depends on how bloody it is. If we call it like strawberry milk, where there's just like a slight hue of pink to it, the benefits of giving that milk outweigh the risks. The baby may not want to ingest it. It can upset their stomach. So if the baby is like not tolerating it well, then we wouldn't. If it's truly, truly, truly bloody, like deep, deep, deep dark red, then oftentimes it may be a little bit more irritant to the baby's stomach, and they may not tolerate that well. And we want to get to the root cause of why that's happening and transpiring. Oftentimes, it's from having the suction on the breast pump too high.
Wow.
I've seen it. Clumps
Wow.
and clogs of, looks like blood clots coming out from too high of a suction. So, guys, just trust me. It may feel like just turning the suction up is going to get the milk out, but it can actually have the reverse response and cause more inflammation back behind your tissue.
Wow.
I have an article on my website about that, Jennifer. Here, if you go to my website to the blog section, I wrote an article about that. And that one gets a little more complex. It depends on what type, and there's not a lot of data about THC and breastfeeding, and so it really has to be an individualized situation, and all providers need to be on board with it, and we have to look at benefits and risk. There's not a lot of data around it, but I did write kind of like an article on it, so I would definitely check out my blog on that. Yes. I don't even know if that one's like safe to ask on here.
No, you
There's
said I'm
no
gonna leave it
judgment.
right. I'm gonna leave it right where it's at. I got you.
Yes. So just go to the blog. I wrote a blog on there about it. And if you have more questions, you can definitely message me and I'll be glad to unpack it. Oh, okay. Hold on. I might have went too fast. Here, I will. There you go. Just find the blog on my
Yeah,
website. Go to the blog tab and you'll find it.
excellent.
It's listed on there because I do get asked that sometimes, and
It's
there's
on
more
there for
information
you.
on there.
Do we have any other questions? We get ready to wrap it up here. Any other
Yeah.
questions?
You guys, here, let me go to we got through a lot of it. I mean, we talked about there's the restaurant analogy,
Mhm.
a lot of myths and truths there, navigating sore nipples. So we will definitely continue to unpack even more about this as you
Yes.
guys join us in this series. I am so passionate, guys, I love everything about breastfeeding. I love teaching, I love educating, all the things. So if you have more questions and you want to connect with me offline, or through Mommy Care Kit, definitely here's my information. You can definitely connect with us, and we can take a deeper dive about some of your unique situations and questions that you have.
And then also, like I said, this seminar is recorded and will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. I'll send the replay link out, and we'll have the replay video in there, as well as any other information that Miss Tiffani gives us. So you
Yeah.
can definitely reach out to her. And let me stop the recording here, and then we've got some.
Thank you, ladies, for being in the space today with me.